Hi everyone, welcome to my cooking vlog. I am Oy'nissh Grandis, a Jamaican chef living here in Scotland, UK. In this video, I'll be making a simple breakfast dish. It's maize meal porridge. That is maize meal porridge. To make this porridge, or maize meal porridge, we'll be needing 9 ingredients. That is 9 ingredients. We've got our white maize meal, caster sugar, salt, nutmeg, cinnamon, and vanilla. We also have whole milk. That's the whole milk, and for those who are in the UK, it's the blue top milk. We've got coconut milk. Optional, coconut cream could be used also, but in this case, we're using coconut milk and boiled water. So we start the process with boiled water. It's better to get the process with starting with boiled water instead of the cold one. It takes forever. So we've got our boiled water, coconut milk, and we've got our full milk, our blue top milk for those who are in the UK. We've got our white maize meal. We've got our caster sugar. We've got our salt. And we've got the nutmeg, cinnamon, and vanilla. To the pot, add the boiling water, then the salt, and then the coconut milk. Mix together and allow to start simmering on the stove. In a large bowl, add the maize meal. To this, you'll now add the milk and mix thoroughly before adding to the pot. This also is to ensure that if there's any maize meal with lumps in it, it will dissolve, which is unlikely, but it's good practice to always mix separate in a bowl before adding to the pot. To the pot of simmering mixture, add the maize meal and milk. Stir gently and do so intermittently because you don't want it to stick to the bottom. There's a chance that if you don't stir it every so often, the maize meal will fall to the bottom and start to burn. Maybe this is an ideal time to turn the cooker down to probably medium heat. If it's a gas cooker, the same, or lower. But you give it a stir, let it rest a little, then you stir again. Please ensure not to continuously stir it because it doesn't give the chance for the pot to heat up properly. So let it settle and heat up, and then you stir, you stop again, and then you repeat the process. This is to ensure that the maize meal at the bottom doesn't stick, thus the stirring, but also you stop at different intervals to ensure that the mixture have chance to heat on the stove. Please note that when working with maize meal, and in some parts of the world it's known as cornmeal. Definitely in Jamaica it's called cornmeal. In parts of Africa it's called maize meal. And in Jamaica they'll be using the yellow maize. Chances are you get that also in Central America, for example Mexico, probably in the United States where they use it to make cornbread. It would be the yellow maize instead of the white one. But it's the same principle that you allow it to settle a bit and you stir after a minute or so. But what it does now, once it starts to simmer, is thicken. So this is where now you stir the pot and it slowly starts to thicken. You'll start to see as minutes pass by that the liquid will become a lot more viscous. It doesn't look so initially that probably there's a lot more liquid than the actual maize or cornmeal. But this is probably one property of maize that probably because it's starchy. I think most starchy products, once you start to add water to it and mix in something in a hot liquid or so forth, it will start to thicken. And this you'll start to see with the maize meal. It looks very watery initially, but as it have the chance to settle on the stove for at least 45 seconds or a minute or two, and then you stir it, it starts to thicken. That's where the magic starts to happen. And then the cooking magic, starts to shine through. As you can see now, it's thickening nicely. And chances are you'll have to add some liquid to it. It's always good practice when you're adding the liquid to make the mixture in the first place, not to use all of it. It's the same thing with the water. When you put the water in the pot, leave at least a quarter of the water back. Because now with the quarter of the water that's left over from the beginning, you can now use it to rinse out the bowl that had the milk and maize meal and then to the pot. Because what happens now, once it thickens, you'll need liquid. And that's why it's good to use 3/4 of the water at the initial stage and leave some of the boiling water till later to add to the pot when the maize thickens, which it's now thickened considerably. But because now we've added liquid, it had the chance to smooth out a bit. And after this, you'll now allow it to simmer for probably 8 to 10 minutes. At this stage, we are getting ready to sweeten the porridge and also to add the spice. Please note that your level of sugar may vary from mine, so use your discretion. Though the given amount have been shown in the recipe, your best bet is to use a discretion. If you feel that you need to use less or none at all, depending if you're diabetic or so forth. Also, one thing to note is that in the UK, something like this would be seen as a dessert and probably would be eaten in the evening or at supper. However, in Jamaica, this is breakfast. We tend to have something like this for breakfast, and normally we also add vanilla to it. Vanilla, nutmeg, and cinnamon. So what we have as breakfast here in the UK would be dessert. Also in Scotland and in England and Wales, breakfast porridge would be normally oats, which is still something we have in Jamaica, but we have banana porridge, maize meal porridge, plantain porridge, a variety of stuff. The idea is to start the day heavy and finish light in terms of meal. Also to note that in terms of spices, we are blessed with many spices in the Caribbean, so we can be a bit more generous in terms of using it in our food. As you can see in the porridge, it seems as if there's a lot, but to us it's not a lot. That's reasonable amount. Here in the UK, they probably have an hint of the spice instead of so much. But as I said, you just have to use a discretion. I'm from a place where spices are quite normal for us to use in abundance. And to us, this would be a normal amount. But if you believe that this would be too much for you, you can use less. That's basically it. So you make sure you mix through everything thoroughly. In terms of the sugar, use your own discretion with respect to the given recipe if you want to use less or none at all. In terms of spice, you can use less if you want. But definitely vanilla is added. And we have this as breakfast in Jamaica. Here too, I do.